Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We are slowly waiting for people to join us. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'd love to hear who's with us today. So if you're logging on, send a message to the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're coming in from, whether you've seen our webcams, and any memories you have of anything that you saw. Robert from Connecticut, welcome. Randy from San Diego. Helen and Modi'in. How you doing, Helen? Paula in Munich. Judy over in New York. Hi, Judy. Jillian in London. We're coming in from all over the place today. It's great to see everybody or hear from everybody. Hi, Nancy from Houston. Philip all the way from Rehovot. Yossi from Ranana. Follows all the cams. That's great. We're still a little bit early, so we are going to give people time to log on. Hi, Carol and Gail from Illinois. Soren from Sweden. Good to see you. Is it getting cold up there yet, Soren? Couple more minutes before we get started. No snow yet, he says. Great. Maureen, hi from Ottawa. Good to see you.
Hi, Bernice from Philadelphia. Hi, hello in
Absolutely.
Paris. Hi, Bernice. Good to see you here.
Barbara from Toronto. Kay from Pennsylvania. Another person from Ranana. Hi, Janice. Ocean Pines, Maryland. Anyone from the West Coast here? I know it's early out there. Blake from Ohio. Nice to see you, Blake. We'll give it one more minute. People are still slowly coming in. Hi, Wendy. How are you? Columbia, Maryland. And Larry from Massachusetts, Leicestershire, UK. Nancy from Tenafly. We love Tenafly here. How are you, Nancy? Caroline from Leicestershire. Did I say that right? I hope so. Okay, I think we can start doing the greetings. And I said it right. Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. So welcome, everybody. My name is Alan Casal. I'm the Director of Tourism and Outreach here at BirdLife Israel, which is part of the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel. And this is one of the series of webinars offered by SPNI in English a couple times a month for the last few years. So we're happy to have this time slot and to welcome you all here. And greetings from Jay and Lawrence and the crew of the SPNI crew. They are here in Israel with the mission from Nature Israel. Many of our board members and members are here, having arrived in Israel yesterday or over the weekend, and are doing a week's tour around the country, visiting many SPNI sites. So if they're watching, hello from everybody. But they send their regards and will not be participating with us tonight. But I have here today Yoav Perlman, Dr. Yoav Perlman, who's the director of BirdLife Israel, and Gilad Friedman, who is a raptor ecologist and the coordinator of the Nest Cam program that we have been running for several years. So they are going to tell us all about the program with some highlights of the year. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to them. Yoav and Gilad, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Alan, for the introduction. Um, I will do most of the talking today, and Gilad, feel free to jump in if I need to be corrected in any way. So, good evening to everyone. So great to see um, all of you with us this evening from all over the world. We do this webinar once a year to keep our supporters updated about this project that we'll be talking about, our online Nest cams, Nest cameras on Raptor Nest. It's one of the projects that we're most proud of. Um, we keep bragging about it because it really is a groundbreaking project in Israel and overseas. And today we'll use this opportunity to talk about the background, short background about the project. We'll talk about what happened this year, and we'll look ahead towards next year as well. So let's get going. So our project, it's been running for 10 years now. We just finished our 10th field season. As Alan mentioned, Gilad Friedman, he's the main person leading the project, um, coordinating the work on the ground, but most importantly, the partnership behind this project. The two main partners behind the project are SPNI and the Israel Nature and Parks Authority. We work closely together and try to make this project beneficial for all the different partners who are taking part in the project. Um, what we are really trying to achieve in this project is better conservation of our top predators, top avian predators, the raptors, understanding that under them, under the raptors in the sort of ecological pyramid, all of the other components of the ecosystem of the natural environment are so protected. And if we better protect our raptors, their needs for open spaces, for plentiful food sources, um, all the other organisms under them in the pyramid will benefit as well. So that's the overall goal of the project. The more specific objectives of the project are to use the cameras to understand better the threats to our breeding raptors, collect data and use those data to better protect and to direct conservation efforts to make sure that these conservation efforts have the most impact on the threats and the issues that these breeding raptors face. And the other objective, which is most important for us at the SPNI, to increase the public awareness and the support for the project, and eventually the support for better conservation of our biodiversity, of our open spaces in Israel. It's very, very important for us because it really gives us the support and the sort of national interest that we want to be more effective in our conservation work. So the public awareness and outreach are very, very important components of the project. And we certainly invest in that as well. Um, these are the main players or the main actors in our project since it started. Um, we have been working with 6 of our raptor species to date, 5 diurnal raptors and 1 nocturnal raptor. Um, I will quickly go over each one of them and introduce them in a bit more detail. Um, so the long-legged buzzard This is a short video. I hope you can see it well. This is a video from a few years ago. Beautiful, beautiful buzzard. Buzzards are relative to the North American hawks, but this is a very big buzzard, the biggest buzzard actually. Amazing predator, very versatile, very, very active. And when we have, you see with a snake, uh, when we have good activity, it's just non-stop action on the camera. The next actor is the short-toed eagle or short-toed snake eagle. We've been following a few nests since 2016. Um, they have a very long breeding season. They breed late in the season. They're migrants, so they only arrive back from Africa in the end of March, more or less. And they start breeding then. And the chicks fledge usually in August. We have had some very, very dramatic events in the past, including a male that got electrocuted and sadly had to be euthanized. The female called for him, never came back, and eventually deserted the nest. And the pine marten eventually came and robbed the nest from the egg. So that happened a few years ago in 2020. Um, the only nocturnal raptor that we're following, Eurasian eagle owl, a relative of the great horned owl of North America, a huge owl, size of an eagle, very powerful, very, very aggressive. Our cameras work fantastically at night as well, so we record all of the action during the day and during the night, including the food that they bring. That includes also bats. Eurasian griffon, our breeding vulture, one of the breeding vultures we have in Israel, huge with a wingspan of 2.5 meters, which is, well, I'd say about 8 feet. Very, very impressive, critically endangered in Israel. Again, we've had some very, very dramatic events in the past, including one of the parents that died in the middle of the breeding season, and with a drone we kept feeding it the chick in the nest, and all kinds of amazing stories that we've had over the years. Egyptian vulture, another critically endangered vulture that we're following. In Israel, it's critically endangered. Globally, it's endangered, like the second highest rank. It's a migratory species wintering in Africa. Here it's fighting with a long-legged buzzard, trying to protect its nest. And all of these events happened in previous years. Very, very exciting stuff happening all the time in our nests. And the Bonelli's eagle, it's a very challenging pair to follow because of the location and the distances. But in the years that we were able to broadcast the Bonelli's eagles, amazing things happened. Some exciting conservation challenges there. In one year, we had to intervene and try to replace infertile eggs and bring in chicks from our breeding program. All of that work is done together with the Nature and Parks Authority, of course, part of the close management. So all kinds of interesting stuff happening in front of our cameras. But the Bonelli's eagle certainly is a fascinating and beautiful eagle. Every time we put a new camera on a new nest, we discover that we learn so much. There's so much to know. You know, when we're studying birds in the field, we see what we see during the time that we're there. But as soon as we install a camera in front of the nest, it just adds another amazing level of information that is so valuable for conservation. One of the examples is the parasite called Trichomonas. It's transferred to the raptors through their food, mainly pigeons. Pigeons carry this parasite, and eventually, when a chick or an adult get the parasite, it develops these kind of sores first on the legs and then inside their mouth and on their tongue. Without treatment, they eventually suffocate and die. With early detection of trichomonas, um, uh, treatment can be provided. When it's provided at the early stage, the chick can get cured and develop properly. So with the cameras, we all the time look out for signs of trichomonas and other kinds of injuries. Um, as I mentioned here on the slide, in 2022, if we hadn't installed a camera on that nest of the Bonelli's eagles, it would be just another failure. Like sadly, many raptors fail. We wouldn't know what the problem is, but with the camera, we managed to intervene and act, and eventually that pair, for the first time after several years, managed to fledge 2 chicks. So we do a lot of study with the cameras. We prevent threats in real time as well, collecting all the time information on what are the threats and trying to promote conservation action sort of based on that evidence. One example of the work that we do, we study the food items, what these raptors bring to their chicks. As we said, the long-legged buzzard are one of the most prolific hunters and very varied. You can see the numbers of food items that they bring every year. And it's really amazing to see the distribution of the different types of foods that they bring, rodents, reptiles, birds, fascinating stuff. Um, Trichomonas, as I said before, we see that happening, and it's actually an increasing problem. We see more and more infected long-legged buzzards and Bonelli's eagles. One of the reasons for that is the decrease of natural food sources, especially rodents and reptiles in our open spaces. And the buzzards and the eagles shift more to pigeons. There are too many feral pigeons everywhere, easy prey. And as I said, these pigeons carry trichomonas, and we see more and higher and higher infection rates of trichomonas in these breeding raptors. And using those data together with the Nature and Parks Authority, we have started a large-scale study on trichomonas and starting to apply some measures to try and reduce this problem. With the camera, as I said, we identified in real time different threats and disturbances from different sources, and we managed to prevent. For example, we prevented a poaching incident in the short-toed eagle nest. With our cameras, we identified fires developing near our nests and called in the fire troopers, etc. A couple of words about our online reach. So all of our cameras are broadcasted through our website, birds.org.il. During the season, between when we start broadcasting, it's usually mid-February, late February, or March, depending on the development of the different pairs, until the season ends, usually during August. we broadcast as many cameras as we have operating on our website. So people are engaged with our website. They follow our website, and we have people watching day and night, real time, um, thousands and thousands of people. Some of them are really addicted, I would say. They just, don't leave the screen. Um, One of the jobs that Gilad does so well is to take the action in front of the cameras and develop stories that would work well on social media. And we utilize our social media to the best of our abilities on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. And some of the stories, like the famous eagle owl attack on the long-legged buzzard nest in 2016, um, it went viral. It went all over the world. It has been sort of reposted so many times, and it's one of our most viewed items ever. But the almost daily updates that Gilad does on Facebook are so popular as well. In 2025, our Facebook page reached 68,000 followers, and it's still going up. Um, every time Gilad posts an update, the level of engagement is incredible. Just so many people watch the videos, but more importantly, thousands and thousands of people are engaged. They either click like, but more importantly, they comment and they share. And our content, it's always not only a video, but a detailed explanation about what the video shows, what are the conservation challenges, what are the conservation actions that were taken. All of that information is spread amazingly all over the world. Oh, come on. My computer is a bit slow. Mm. So, yeah, as I said, we are broadcasting our updates on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. So please feel free to search for our updates on one of these platforms and join the tens of millions that reach our content every year from all over the world. Another important component of our project is the education program that accompanies it. Um, all of our data that is collected is used to develop education programs in schools of different ages, from young kids in elementary school to high school students, and even some university projects use our data, use the online broadcasts to train, to learn. And for us, it's very important to reach out to students of all ages, to educate and to teach them about the importance of protecting our open spaces, protecting our biodiversity, and especially our raptors. As all of you surely know, since 2023, Israel is in war. And this war situation has impacted our project. One of the impacts of the project is a decrease in our available budget. The financial situation in Israel is much, much, much more difficult since 2023, and we are adjusting to that. So in the last couple of years, we had to reduce the number of cameras that we can broadcast. But I hope that we will regrow now that the war has finally ended and Israel is resuming some kind of normality. And I hope that soon we will have the same budget that we had before the war, and we'll be able to broadcast all of the different cameras that we want. A few words about what happened this year, the summary of the breeding season of 2025. So these are the cameras that we had, and I'll mention a few of the stories. Long-legged buzzard. For the first time in 10 years, there was no breeding of long-legged buzzard. We don't know exactly what happened. The pair returned as they should, when they should, at the beginning of the breeding season in January. They started decorating or rebuilding one of the nests in front of our cameras. But then we saw them sort of moving and playing around and not doing much in the way of breeding, no copulating, of course, no egg laying. We saw them coming and going, coming and going. We thought that they might be breeding in a different location, but it seems that our pair just did not breed. For the first time after 10 years, there was no breeding in front of our cameras. Um, when you zoom out, this pair, this amazing pair, they bred successfully for 9 years. 9 years out of 10 is amazing. I hope that all of our breeding raptors in Israel had this success rate. But this year, indeed, it was a disappointment that they did not breed because of the high levels of engagement when these guys are breeding. They just bring prey non-stop. It's just non-stop action. So this year we just we kept the cameras on to see whether something happened during the season. Different buzzards visited the nest of came from different areas and played around a bit, but again nothing happened, and eventually there was no breeding. So this was a surprise for us, but we're still hopeful that it was a 1 year glitch, and next year they will return to breed. Short-toed eagle, after a few tough years actually, without successful breeding in front of our cameras. This year was good. We had a fantastic pair returning from previous years in an old nest that we had the camera set up in front of. And the camera operated amazingly during the day, during the night. Our pair, the heroes, the short-toed eagle pair, just worked tirelessly day after day after day, and it was incredible to see how the single chick, is growing and growing and growing. During the season of 2025, the pair brought 172 snakes to this chick. Just think of the amount of snakes. They just worked so hard. You can see in the background the landscape where they're searching for their food. It does give an idea of this is a protected area, how rich and wonderful the open spaces are in Israel when they're properly protected and managed. This is a testimony for how rich the natural environment there is with snakes. And it was fascinating to see the different species brought in and how rapid the chick is growing with this gourmet food. Um, Egyptian vultures, it was a different kind of story. As I said, we had some budget limitations, so we didn't broadcast live the Egyptian vulture. However, our cameras were recording all the time, and Gilab was monitoring this nest. He saw what's going on there, and he posted online summaries of the development and different stories happening. And yeah, they lay eggs in the beginning of April. Two chicks hatched and eventually fledged at the age of 81, 92 days. So there was a bit of gap in the fledging date, but eventually the two chicks fledged successfully, and now they should be in Africa already, south of the Sahara in the Sahel zone. They have so many risks and threats, not only in Israel, but also along their migration routes and during the winter season in Africa. In Africa, we've had in the past cases of electrocution and poisoning. So fingers crossed that they will make it and return to breed when they mature in the next years. Uh, Next slide. Come on. Okay. So we had an exciting griffin season in our colony in the Negev, in the central Negev. Um, 8 pairs bred in front of our cameras in the colony, which is actually a bit of an increase compared to previous years. So it's good to see this colony um, holding on and maybe even developing. 5 out of the 8 nests that started to breed fledged. So we had 5 chicks fledged from 8 nests. Again, this is not bad. I wish all the griffins in Israel had this relative breeding success. So it was fantastic to see those 5 chicks fledging. However, we had some dramas and some sad stories as well. Um, T99 is one of the most famous males from the project. We have been following it since the start of the project for 10 years. This is the story from 2020 that its mate, a female, collided with a power line and died. He became a widow, and we worked with the Nature and Parks Authority to supplement the food that T99 brought to the developing chick with a drone. It was the first time, I think, that a drone was used to feed raptors in the wild. So that happened in 2020. T99 found a new wife, J35, and sadly, in the middle of the season, about 2 months after the chick hatched, T99 was found dead. It had a satellite tag on its back, and the tag showed signs of mortality. Indeed, our team went out and found T99 dead on a cliff a few kilometers away from the nest. We don't know what was the reason for its death. Um, Maybe just old age, maybe some disease. We don't know. There were no external physical signs of what happened, so we'll never know. But eventually, J35, the female, remained alone with the chick. We followed J35 and the developing chick closely day and night to see how the chick is developing. We monitored the rate of food brought to the chick, and we were ready to intervene. We had our teams really ready for action to try and salvage the chick. But eventually, J35, the amazing female you can see in the photo on the right, did a stellar job bringing in food. I remember these are scavengers. The Nature and Parks Authority provides safe, healthy food for them in some feeding stations, but they look for natural food as well. So J35, the female, courageously managed to raise the chick on her own until that chick fledged um, successfully, not after another drama. About 2 weeks before it was supposed to fledge, it fell off the cliff ledge almost to the bottom of the canyon. It's a big, big, big cliff. Um, it wasn't quite a free fall, but it did tumble down a bit. We were concerned that it broke a wing or a leg or something, but eventually the chick seemed to be okay, and after a few days managed to climb back to a high enough ledge, and J35 returned to feed it until it developed properly and fledged when it should have. So that was a sigh of relief with this chick. We had another pair, um, A40 and E76. They lay an egg in front of the nest. They're very uh, popular pair from previous years, successful breeders in the past. Um, they lay an egg and they incubated and incubated and incubated and incubated too long, and we understood that the egg is infertile. They just kept on incubating forever. Eventually, a chick from our captive breeding program was brought to the nest. Um, you can see here Walter from our team. He's a professional climber, rappelled down to the nest, uh, took the egg and placed there a chick. Sadly, this replacement, the intervention, did not succeed, and the parents, during the time that we had and in the timing that we did this switch, they didn't respond well to this new chick, and Walter had to rappel back again to the nest and remove the chick before it would die as well. Brought it back to the captive breeding program, and eventually it matured there. So that was a failure, a nest that did not succeed. Um, yeah, so this is more or less what happened in 2025. Um, this was another year that our team, Gilad, led this team with volunteers and workers from an INPA, from BirdLife Israel, worked tirelessly to install all the cameras, to make sure that all systems are working properly. Just to clarify, the technological challenge there is serious. These are very remote locations without power, often without good internet signal. So the technological challenges are significant. And Gilad, with the INPA team, with BirdLife Israel team, and with all the helpers and volunteers, managed uh, to take this season off. It really worked well this year, and we're very proud of our achievements despite all the challenges. In 2026, we're still trying to figure out our budget for next year. Still, the financial situation in Israel isn't great, and we want to make sure that we have enough funding for this project to broadcast from several more nest cams, maybe even the Bonelli's eagle or the eagle owl. They're still waiting patiently for us to return to broadcast. Certainly, we will be showing the long-legged buzzard, hoping that this year it will return to breed successfully. So I'm looking forward to another exciting season, again led by Gilad and all the team working to show us the wonders of the raptors breeding in Israel. Um, we reopened our fundraiser. Every year, we receive contributions from our supporters in Israel and all over the world. In the bottom there's a link to our um, donation page through Israel Gives. Alan will post the link in the chat as well. I'll just clarify that a significant proportion of our budget comes from our fundraiser. Every year, this fundraising is crucial for us to be able to execute this project. We really are grateful for all the contributions that are made year after year by our supporters. We're hoping that also in 2026 we will be able to maximize our efforts with as many cameras as possible. Um, this is another opportunity to thank our partners. First of all, our main partners, Israel Nature and Parks Authority, really working with us shoulder to shoulder um, to make this project happen. And the other partners, Midbarium, the Hupu Foundation, and a few other partners as well. That's it from me. Again, thank you all for your continuing support. And please follow our webcams, please follow our social media, and we'll be happy to see you during the season and in our next updates as well. Thank you.
Yoav, you have a few questions on the Q&A.
Okay,
And
can you read them out? I wasn't following
yes.
the.
So first of all, Caroline is asking, how long do these raptors live and how old are they before they start to breed?
Okay, it really depends on the different pairs, different species. Um, for instance, this long-legged buzzard pair, we know it's the same pair. It's been using that nest for over 10 years. So probably they can go on for longer. We know that vultures can live for very long, for 20, 30 years in the wild. We certainly have been following some of them for many years. And when they mature, not before they get too old, they improve their breeding success from year to year. Some smaller species live for a bit shorter, but raptors do live for many years. And again, with the tagging, we get to know them personally for many years.
Helen is asking, how do you treat for the trichomonas?
So again, it's Walter or another person from our team rappel down to the nest with treatment with a drug that is injected into the bird, like a veterinary drug. He applies the treatment, gives it to the chick, and climbs back up and away from the nest. So it's like a physical, like a veterinary, field veterinary treatment.
Okay. Natan was asking about the snakes. Which are the what snakes make up the regular part of the diet?
Maybe Gilad knows. I think there are 11 or 12 different species of snakes. I think the most common one is the Palestinian viper, which is one of the commonest species. Um, and we have
They
a
eat
few
almost
oysters.
every snake they can find.
Oh,
So it includes also vipers, as you said, and Asian and Sahara sand racers, or red white snake, large white snake, grass lizards, even every snake they can find from Israel in the Mediterranean area.
okay. Martina's asking if there's a link to the live webcams. Right now they're not active, but I will post a link to the website where you can find some of the back uh, issues of the posts that we put there.
Um, a bit about the timing of the project. So actually, in a few weeks, Gilad will start preparing the infrastructure for the next season. In the Israeli desert, some of the breeding raptors, they start to breed very early, already in December and January. So it depends on the species. We need to have the systems connected and operating very early. Usually we start broadcasting after we see that there's a successful breeding. So some of our cameras go online in February, March, depends on how the different species and the different pairs develop with their breeding. So you should expect to see the cameras going live February, March, something like that, and they run until the end of the breeding season of the short-toed eagle and the vultures in July or August.
Robert, I hope that answers the question of why the cameras are currently down. We'll be back once the season starts again. We have a question from Gabriel. He says the live webcams are a wonderful resource and service. Have they or can they be used for nefarious purposes by poachers to determine which nests are not monitored? What are other means for thwarting poachers? How severe are the penalties if caught and convicted? Big question.
Yeah, it's a big question. First of all of our locations are kept secret, especially of the eagles that are certainly targeted by poachers. We actually use our cameras to detect poachers. Certainly, especially close to the border with the Palestinian Authority, poaching is a major issue. And we have guards guarding, especially the nests of Bonelli's eagles and golden eagles in those risky areas, day and night, physically protecting the nest to prevent poachers. It is certainly a challenge, but we, especially the Israel Nature and Parks Authority, with BirdLife Israel, we apply some extreme measures and really do our best to protect those breeding raptors.
And Maggie asks to what extent would the breeding problems be caused by climate change?
One sort of expression of climate change that is very, very apparent in recent years is a drought where we've been experiencing a 3-year drought now. I'm sure that the short-toed eagles and the long-legged buzzards are affected by that because with the drought, there's less annual plant growth, less insects and arthropods, less reptiles, less rodents, less food for the short-toed eagles and the long-legged buzzards. So certainly with climate change, we're seeing a decrease in rainfall, in the mean annual rainfall, and more of these extreme droughts, more extreme heat waves. And certainly we're concerned about that. But from our perspective as a conservation organization, it's clear for us that we need to better protect our open spaces to allow those birds to continue breeding, even in the face of climate change, to make sure that, for example, grazing is managed properly, the watersheds are sort of operating in a natural way. We really think that good and rich natural open spaces will allow those birds to breed even in the light of climate change.
And Martina has a follow-up to that. Will the birds adapt to the drought by moving somewhere else?
To some extent, they could, but some of these species are very specific to different climatic and geomorphological conditions. For example, cliffs. These species breed mainly on cliffs, and in some parts of Israel, there are just not enough cliffs, especially in central Israel. So the options to move aren't great in some cases. So Yeah, I think that the birds will maybe need to adapt to the changing conditions rather than switch locations.
Okay, there's a couple more questions, two more questions. Jillian is asking how the war has affected the conservation of raptors.
The war has affected the conservation of raptors like it has affected the conservation overall in Israel. There has been some direct damage to habitats, especially close to the frontiers around the Gaza border and in northern Israel. Um, Many of these areas have already, I mean, the natural habitats have been restored or in the process of restoration. Um, Birds, because of their incredible mobility, they are more adaptive than other animals, and especially migratory birds. I think that they can probably cope with these local habitat destructions better than other animals. But certainly there was some, especially in the north, some forests and scrubby areas were burned down by fires, and we saw some loss of breeding raptors. But we hope that with restoration, rehabilitation, um, these pairs that were affected will resume breeding maybe this next year or the year after. Um, what's more important is that with the war, our ability as a conservation organization to work for nature, to protect nature, has been impaired. The national attention is, um, of course, not focused on conservation these years, but on other pressing issues, and our ability to mobilize public um, uh, opinions and public action towards conservation is much, much more limited. But again, I hope that in the next years we'll see sort of a rehabilitation of our civil society as well, and we'll resume to work as we did before the war.
And last question, and I'll merge this together. Reuven wondered how are we able to actually touch and handle the raptors? And Edith was asking how extensive is the captive breeding program? Where is it located? Is it possible to visit, etc.?
Okay, so certainly Khaybar Carmel is open to visitors. I think that the mission is the mission visiting Khaybar Carmel. Maybe
I
not this year, but I think last year they did. But certainly the Khaybar Carmel Reserve near Haifa, where we have the Nature and Parks Authority have their main national captive breeding programs for Eurasian griffons, for Bonelli's eagles, golden eagles, Egyptian vultures. All of that is happening in Khaybar Carmel. There are a few other locations in the country, but they're less accessible. Certainly, Khaybar Carmel is open to the public, and that it's a fascinating place to visit. Beautiful, also there are many raptors breeding in that area in wild conditions. So it's great to visit that place. Regarding the handling of birds in the nests, um, uh, all of that is done by professional people who do that with all the necessary permits, all the training that's necessary, all the caution that's needed, and we do it without damaging the birds. We're really doing our best to help the birds.
Thank you, Yoav. If there's any more questions, please send them. Gilad, did you want to add any last words?
No, it's fine. You have said it so nicely.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'll sort of wrap up from my side. Again, I hope this was an interesting presentation for you all, and the news stories are always exciting, and we're looking forward to the next year. Thank you for your support. for this, but also your general support for BirdLife Israel and for the Society for Protection of Nature. Alan will surely talk a bit more about the different webinars that we're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yoav, and thank you, Gilad. It's always amazing how many people follow the our birds on the webcams all over the world, and encourage you to tune in again in the spring when the cameras go online. Again, your support over the years, financial support has been fantastic, and we hope that you'll join us again to keep these cameras running over the next season. BirdLife Israel and the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel also offer ongoing tours in English here in Israel, from short bird walks to longer bus trips for the day. Many of these topics that we deal with, we visit on site and in person. And if you're interested, please feel free to log on to Nature Israel website. Everything's there. We've also sent it out on the newsletters, and anybody who has questions, if you're coming to Israel, give us a call and join us on one of the trips. And we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar in a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, have a good night, good day for those of you who are out west, just waking up. Hope you have a great day. Again, thanks Yoav and Gilad, and thank you for everybody who joined us today. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.